Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Claudine Hemingway is a descendant of famed writer Ernest Hemingway. We bumped into each other at a party and decided to team up and dive deep into French history, but with a twist, by bringing a spotlight to those lesser-known creatives in France. This is History with a Hemingway. Welcome back, guys. I'm back with Claudine, and I know you guys have all been hearing the big news about the Mona Lisa. There's a lot of stories out there about what's happening at the Louvre. Where's the Mona Lisa going to be? Where's the entrance? And Claudine's going to tell us everything today.
Yeah, and we talked, earlier in this last year, I was gonna say this year, but last year we did 6 episodes about the Mona Lisa. And I guess we could kind of call this the 7th, but there's been so much news and so much of the stuff that's been reported and reshared is wrong, with a lot of stuff that really will affect you if you do want to come to Paris, and come to the Louvre. But also, this is a lot of stuff you don't have to worry about for quite some time. And so we'll tell you about all of it. But there's a new exhibit at the Louvre that just opened a couple weeks ago. And that is plays a really important part in the timeline of everything that happened. And we'll do another episode about that because it's amazing. But there was this huge exhibition. The Louvre Couture opened up on January 24th. And the day before, a letter that was dated on January 13th of 2025 was quote unquote leaked. The letter was from the director of the Louvre, Laurence Descartes, and it was written to the Minister of Culture, Rachida Dati. And in this letter, Carr stated that the Palais and the Musée du Louvre were in dire straits. There was water damage, there's been leaks, there's failing technical and security equipment, the elevators are bad, the escalators are bad, and that was just the start. So this was a letter, as I said, January 13th, so over a month ago, and it was leaked. But the timing of this leak, I think, is quite interesting.
Definitely very interesting considering what's going on now.
Exactly. So, but in early November 2023, the newest exhibit that was dedicated to the drawings of Claude Gillot was held on the second floor of the Pavillon de Sully, and it had to close 4 days later because there was a water leak so badly that it came from the roof. It was on the second floor, and it came through the roof and it could have damaged everything. And when it's an exhibition and they're getting pieces that they were drawings as well that came from different museums, collectors, they had to instantly shut it down. They took everything apart, shipped everything back to where it came from, and closed it. And that room now, over a year and a half later, is still not open. And I don't see them doing really any work. I think they did work on it to fix it, to stop the leak, but nothing's been done since. So you have part of the Louvre, you have parts of the Louvre go back to the 12th century. What we see above ground, the oldest part is 16th century, goes all the way up to the 20th century. But it's still an old building. But the director also mentions the facilities of the Louvre itself were far below average. The pyramid opened in 1989 and was created at the time that the Louvre was getting 4 million people a year. In 2023, the Louvre had 8.86 million visitors, and it was close to 10 million in 2019 before the pandemic.
Wow. So we saw a big increase.
It's a huge increase. It was down lower last year because of the Olympics, because people weren't here, but it's still around 8 million. So that's double what the intentions of using the pyramid to get people in. They also keep using a term lately in the press and everything that they just are using one entrance. They said there's only one entrance, being the pyramid. It's not quite true. There's quite a few different entrances. There's also the carousel entrance down below. that at one time used to be kind of a good secret little way to get in, but now that's turned into an absolute shit show of people. There's so many people down there. Even in January, February, when I've left lately, the line is literally summer level and it's January. So it's crazy. The Richelieu entrance is for card holders and large groups. And then sometimes there's the Porte de Lyon, which is in the the Denon wing. But that one's really inconsistent on when it's open. And right now it's completely closed because they're doing work down there. But the pyramid itself on a hot, sunny day, I never use that entrance, but there's been times that I've walked out that entrance. And on hot, sunny days, it's underneath the pyramid. So it turns into a greenhouse and like a microscope, and it gets so incredibly hot that it could be the difference of like 30 or 40 degrees difference underneath the pyramid. So those people working there, well, the 30,000 people a day coming in, putting their stuff through the x-ray scanner, those people, even when I've walked in there for like and been underneath it for like 60 seconds, I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah, and like you said, the line is just insane every day now. Like I do photo shoots there all the time and it's like wrapped around the courtyard and I've never seen it like that.
Usually this time of the year, it's never like that. That's what's so weird. And this year, because of the Olympics, everything's, just everything's bonkers. But it's very strange because it's like, what in the heck is going on? There should not be this many people coming. I mean, it's great, but it's also very strange. Laurence Descartes, who you've met before when she was at the Orsay, she became the first female director of the Louvre in September of 2021, and she immediately began an investigation into the workings of the museum. There's not enough bathrooms or restrooms or even enough places for people to rest in the museum. There are benches in quite a few of the rooms, but most people are on there just looking bored out of their mind and they're searching on their phones. So they're not really used in the way I think that they probably should be. But the timing of this leak is really interesting and I think pretty brilliant on the part of the director. And maybe it just all happened by accident at this one specific time. But with the success of the Renaissance of Notre Dame in the eyes of the world and the press, it was the perfect moment because the letter was leaked Thursday, January 23rd. January 24th was the new exhibition that's dedicated to fashion. And I was at the pre-opening party of it, and I'm there basically right next to some of the biggest fashion designers ever that had their pieces, representing Dior and Balmain and all of this. But the exhibit has been so amazing and so well received. It's on everything. Like you'll find it on American news. It's in every newspaper ever. It was pretty smart for the time that it leaked because then on January 24th, when the day the exhibition opened, the day after the leak made it to the press, the president announced he was going to go to the Louvre on Tuesday when it was closed, and they were going to have a press conference.
And that's where it all exploded.
Yeah, so Laurence was very smart in how this thing, and maybe it was just a happy accident. But the timing, all of this is very interesting and I think pretty fantastic. So on January 28th, Laurence spoke in front of the Mona Lisa, in front of officials, including past ministers of culture, the press, and then President Macron spoke. They announced a plan that's going to be called the Louvre Nouvelle Renaissance. And none of this, it was funny. I tuned in. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to see what this is all about. It's about the Louvre. I'm watching it and I was like, what? All of this goes back a year, some of it a year, some of it 2 years. Nothing that they announced was new, but everybody's taking it as like, oh my gosh, this is the first time we've ever heard about it, which is funny. So the story made it across the world because of the Mona Lisa. So anytime you put anything, as we know from all the episodes we've done about her, as soon as you use her, it's like instant clickbait and the story goes everywhere. So in September of 2022, just a year into the reign of Laurence Descartes, the Louvre proposed a plan she took to the president, again, September of 2022, that was going to create a space that would hold the Mona Lisa. It was then passed to the mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, and then the minister of culture at the time. At the time, she proposed the idea of re-adding the former entrance into the royal palace on the eastern edge, overlooking the church Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois, and then to alleviate the pressure on the pyramid. This nugget leaked out to the press on April 27, 2024. The plan was to build a space just for Lisa that people could visit her. But first things first, wasn't a new idea. It was dates back to the 1980s with I. M. Pei, and when they created the pyramid entrance, they thought about moving her, but they had other fish to fry. In 2016, it was reviewed again when other works below the pyramid were lacked additional space. They thought about changing the amphitheater, putting that into a place for her. In 2019, when they did the Da Vinci exhibit celebrating his 500th anniversary of his death, they had talked for 10 years about this, about maybe trying to find a place and moving her. But then they decided they were going to leave her there and then redo the room, repaint it, do everything. For a short period of time in 2019, so from July to October 2019, that is when they moved her over to the Richelieu side into the Rubens Medici cycle, because they were redoing the room she's in now. And that is when they really figured out what a bottleneck she causes, because when they moved her over there, they could count every single person. As soon as they scanned their ticket, they'd say, do you want to see the Mona Lisa? If you said yes, you got into a line. You waited in that line. There were stanchions. You went up the escalators. You waited in other lines and stanchions, and then you went to the room to see her, and they gave you like 30 seconds. And they were like, all right, take your picture and get out of here. And then they counted everybody coming out. And that's when they figured out that 80% of, at that time, 40,000 people a day came just to see her.
Yeah, and we've been saying for years as well, like, just move her. Like,
Just move her.
she's in
So
the
yeah, and that's you. I took you and your mom into that room, the Medici cycle where she was, and it's a pretty huge room. So they were really able to control a little. But then back in the Denon wing, when she was moved out, it was so lovely and so nice, and it was like, oh my God, you could actually look at things. You're not annoyed about people and how loud they are, and you could just really. So they were like, okay, this is it. But what was last year, in February 2024, this thing, and we talked about this before, couponbirds.com, they came out with a review from 18,000 people of what was the most disappointed or overhyped thing in the world, and it was the Mona Lisa, from people that visit. And they also said that because the crowds were unbearable, the museum was disappointing, and it was all about the Mona Lisa. And that was kind of the thing last year, that when that came out, that's when the Louvre kind of publicly went out and said, okay, yeah, we know we need to move her. And then for some reason, everybody seemed to forget all about that. And then all of a sudden it turned into this thing where, last month, where like, oh, well, I think we need to, we're going to do this huge plan and announce it like it's the first time we've ever talked about it.
Yeah, it is like you said, it's been going on for quite some time, but it's super exciting again.
It is, and it's going to be fantastic. So the idea that we learned over a year ago was that they would go underneath the cour carré. So the cour carré is this back courtyard. It literally means the square courtyard, the back courtyard of the Louvre. And so the back side of the Louvre is where the original Louvre was. When you are looking at it, when you're there taking pictures and you have your back to the pyramid and you're looking at the pavilion in the center, what you're looking at, the pavilion, and to the right of it is the oldest part we see above ground. That's 16th century. So that is where the original palace was, there. And so when you're actually in the courtyard with the pyramid, you're on the back side of what was originally the Louvre. So the inside of it, and then looking east, was the way that the palace once was. So underneath there, what they didn't know until the 1980s is when they were doing what was called the Grand Louvre project, is when they did the pyramid and they did the Richelieu wing and did all of that. There's 5 pyramids. There's the big, huge pyramid that everybody sees as the entrance. There's the 3 smaller pyramids. And then out in the middle of the Place de la Carrousel is the inverted pyramid. there was going to be a sixth pyramid, and that was going to be in the Cour Carrée. And so they started digging around in the early 1980s to get ready to do this. And all of a sudden, they hit some things that realized these are things that belong to the building. So they found the actual 12th century foundation and the moat of the old medieval palace created under Louis Philippe at the end of the 12th century. So all the plans changed, everything stopped. They decided instead to clean it all out, restore it, and then now you could walk through that. So you could walk through that any day. You're essentially walking in the moat, but it's about a third of the Cour Carrée underneath the ground. And past that is just dirt, and there's nothing else down there. And I even said to an official, the Louvre, like, are you sure? Are you gonna
Exactly.
go down there and like, uh-oh, we just found another building? But they're like, no, this time we know. So they would go underneath there, dig all that out, build an entire space for her. Originally, when this was talked about, it was just going to be a space for her. And when I had talked to two different high officials in the Louvre, I said, you know, what'd be cool is if you did an education about her too, about the painting, about who she really was, about why it was so revolutionary at the time of how he painted her with her looking at you, and the fact that everything about it, like the smokiness, everything was like it was the first time somebody had seen anything like that. And the high officials said, yeah, that won't happen. But what I'm reading now is they are talking about maybe adding a little bit of that in there. So at least maybe 10% of those 30,000 people a day that come in might want to learn something about her.
I hope so.
Just maybe. But then also are being, doing a whole entire separate entrance, as I said back there. So in the moat, and the moat itself that you see, if you're standing on the outside and you're standing with the church at your back and you're looking at the colonnade, that whole area is kind of turned into nothing. Like right now, they're still taking apart the huge fashion show building that they did for the Louis Vuitton men's show weeks ago, still taking that apart. So they'll use the back part as like the setup for these massive tents and walls and everything. So what they want to do is they want to get rid of all of that and then like plant grass out there and make it like kind of a park. Now it's just really not great. And then down below, they had portable units down below in the kind of the ditch moat that was done, that was dug in the 1960s. So they want to change it. So they'll put an entrance. So you'd go down below, go in, and then you could go through and you'd see the Mona Lisa in her own little space. And then if that's all you want to see, then you'd go, which is pretty great.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's definitely going to change things a lot, and they can still make the money because I know they probably didn't want to take her out because they make so much money from her. So
Yeah, I mean, we've talked in past episodes about the fact that like she really is a desperate, desperate need of being restored. And I was like, oh, ha ha ha. I see what they're doing. This is when they're going to restore her because this will be the perfect excuse to take her off display. They can't go right now and say, hey, we're taking her off display for the next 4 months because we're going to restore her. So sorry about your luck. But if they're doing it in the guise of, oh, we're also building this new thing and we need to take her off display to move her, even though they wouldn't need to take her. They could just literally move her overnight. But I think this is when they'll restore her at the same time.
it's the perfect setup.
The perfect setup. So a big thing that also came out, that the thing that is really, really, really incorrect and is driving me crazy is, and it's big, huge, news agencies that are saying this. So what they've also talked about is having a separate ticket. So you would need a separate time ticket to see Mona Lisa. So you go in and you book your ticket. Like I'm coming in on Friday at 9 a.m. I have my ticket. You'd have to book a separate timed ticket for her, but it would be the same price. Everybody is saying, oh, you're now going to have to pay more also if you want to see the Mona Lisa. And that's not true. This is also not going to happen until she's moved. So I'm having people panicking and sending me messages that are coming this year thinking they're going to have this other ticket and how much is it? It's like, this isn't like 6 years if we're lucky, this will happen. But
Because
it's
things don't
just,
happen fast in France. Never
yeah,
fast in France.
nothing happened. I mean, we're talking 2031 if we're lucky, maybe 2041. But it's going to be just like when the Louvre tried this for the Da Vinci exhibit in 2019. You had to book your ticket, then you booked a separate time ticket for Da Vinci. And it's the same thing that Orsay did for the Van Gogh exhibit for the Kai boat. You went in, you booked a ticket, then you booked a second time ticket for this. And it was the same, there was no additional price to go to the exhibit. That is what it's the same thing that's going to be for Mona Lisa. And this, again, not until it's changed. What will change, and it might be sooner rather than later, is in January of next year. They are talking, and this is going to be everywhere in France, is a higher price for people that are non-EU residents. So as many of our listeners are coming from the US or even from England or Australia, you will most likely have to pay more starting January 2026 to go to the Louvre, to go to the Arc de Triomphe, go to the Eiffel Tower. For the Louvre, the tickets are 22 euros right now. They're talking about raising that to 30 euros for non-residents. So you will also need to come and probably bring your passport to show, if you're trying to sneak in and get a ticket that's by for residents, they're going to most likely ask for proof for that. But that is something that will happen. With that, that is some of the money, because they're saying this whole project will cost about 800 million euros, which is pretty much what it cost for Notre Dame. It was all donations. They'll get 400 euros. It'll cost just to redo the space to create for her, and then another 400 euros to create the new entrance, and then updates on things that are happening in the Louvre. So it's going to be a lot of money, and they're going to also take the money. They get 200 million euros from the Louvre in Abu Dhabi, just for Abu Dhabi using the Louvre name. So they get that. So they will use that, and then upping tickets. When Laurence took over in 2021, they also changed in the spring of 2022 to only let 30,000 people in a day. Before that was 45,000. So they did actually lose a lot of money by restricting 15,000 people a day, but they'll be able to probably up the number of people by adding in this back entrance.
Yeah, I think people will definitely be more interested knowing they don't have to fight the crowds if they just want to go to the Louvre.
And it's also, if they just want to see the Mona Lisa, then it's like, cool, go in there, you could see her, and then you could turn around and go out.
Yeah, because a lot of people aren't interested in museums, and that's okay too. It's like be better for everybody.
Yeah, and it's, she just was quoted the other day on the radio again saying, we people taking selfies with art is just the way it is. Like, those of us that love museums and love art, we hate it. I absolutely hate it when I'm in the Louvre and I just follow around these people and all they're doing is taking pictures of them looking at the art or taking a selfie. They're not really looking at anything. It drives me nuts. But that's just the way the world is. That's just the way it's going to be. You can't stop that. And that's just, they're like, she's just like, we have to deal with this and figure it out. And then that's just how it's going to be. But I think they also should just have a fake one in the same kind of setup and people take their selfies with her.
That would be really funny.
They should just have like a little hut they build outside, and then maybe that one they sell like half price tickets just to come in and have your selfie with it. Like, it's a virtual reality.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was reading an article the other day that's talking about they're creating like travel videos and concert videos that people can buy and fake that they were at these events. So they could do the same thing with the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think so. I mean, that's mostly what it is that people just want to check it off the list that they saw it and then go on. I mean, I've had clients that have asked, like, oh, we don't want to see her at all. Or I have clients that say that's all they want to do is see her. And so, there's people that say, is there a 1 hour tour of the Louvre where we just see the Mona Lisa? But they don't know why. They don't know why they need to see her. They just know that they have to see her and check it off the list.
And now they can.
And then they need to, I think they should just have our 6 episodes about the Mona Lisa. That could be the audio guide.
I think it's a great idea.
I'm going to propose that to Laurence and some of the people that I know there.
Yeah, definitely. Just hit it up with Laurence. I'm sure she'll
Yeah.
be up for it. No problem.
She'll be like, get away from me, lady. But I mean, it is pretty cool. The timing of everything is pretty suspicious, but it is also like it was pretty smart, and calculated because I'm sure it was a very calculated thing. I don't think this was by accident.
Never is.
No.
Well, guys, now you have all the information, so make sure you head over to ClaudineHemingway.com to learn more and follow Claudine as well. Thanks for listening today, guys. If you're interested in learning more about Claudine, her tours, history, and the beautiful photographs that she posts all over Instagram, tune into her website, ClaudineHemingway.com.